All right, right on. Cool. And now I'm going to press this button and we're going to start recording. And now we are recording. Okay, let me turn the music down ever so slightly. And we'll get started for this evening. Hello, everybody. Thank you for coming. Thank you for checking this out. Thank you for putting me once again in your ears. It is wonderful to be here again. The last time we talked was, Thursday? And here we are on Monday. And it is, man, it's good to be here. So let's talk for a second, shall we? I had a particularly good day. And I'm going to bring this up right now because you ever have one of those days where you get a compliment from somebody or something that really makes you think and it's real positive and you're just sort of riding that high for the entire day? You ever have a moment like that? That is the experience I'm having right now. I was told earlier today something that absolutely I didn't know I was even good at. Somebody complimented me on my ability to ask questions, and I didn't even think I was a good interrogator, question asker, interviewer, discussion person whatsoever. But I gotta say, I've been thinking about it for the last 8 hours, if not. Let's see, what time is it? No, sorry, 9 hours, and it has really made my day. So thanks, man. I really appreciate your compliment. I hope to continue speaking well for the rest of the day. I gotta be honest. Tonight's topic is definitely one where I can do a fair bit of talking. Because tonight, I want to go back and revisit some of the stuff I talked about when I first talked about pitching. Because I don't know if you know this. I don't know if... Oh, wait, I'm sorry. Hang on. I'm interrupting my own train of thought because it was pointed out to me earlier this morning that when I start these things, I just assume everyone knows me. Which, in my head, completely makes sense because who doesn't know me? But for those people out there who might have no earthly idea who the hell I am, let me introduce myself. My name is John Adamus. I am the writer next door. And it is my job across as many platforms as possible, in as many ways as possible. My job is to help you write whatever it is you are writing better. Hello, thank you for coming. It is delightful to see you. Good evening, good evening, good evening. I was just introducing myself for those people out there checking this out who don't know who I am. I'm John Adamus. I'm the writer next door. I have been doing this job of helping writers succeed no matter what they're writing, no matter their level of experience. I've been doing this since 1997. Are we moving quickly today? Are we flying by? I'm really practically live. Oh, thank you. I don't know how that happened. I'm excited that it happened. I'm just going to not tempt the internet fates, and we're just going to go from there. So, back on this thing before I forget. I've been helping writers do this since literally 1997, and it was pointed out to me that, at least according to some of the people who have viewed the content both here on Twitch as well as on YouTube, that I've been doing this job longer than some of the people have been alive, which I have to tell you, when you get told that, oh my God, you really helped me with my chapter, and by the way, you're as old as my dad, it really does kind of warp your worldview just for a few seconds. It really does kind of throw you for a little bit. So yeah, I guess I'm your writing dad, but in a nice way. Maybe I'm a writing uncle. I don't know. I've only really had kind of crappy uncles. So can I be your way older writing older brother? Is that cool? Can we go with that? Thank you so much for following. I'm going to butcher your name. Writing mentor. Yeah, well, see. All right. Hold up. We're going to talk about mentor just for a second. I should point out Monday streams tend to be just kind of catch-all for a million things because it's very easy to derail me on a Monday. I have a real problem with the word mentor because the hashtag writing community has totally stolen it to refer to somebody who just tweets a lot but doesn't say shit. So, yeah, if I'm your writing mentor, I hope the emphasis is on the writing part and less on the, oh my God, you guys, I totally tweeted this thing. Because, yeah. Yeah, sorry. The ads are a thing. I'm super sorry. But thank you for following. Here, we'll do it again just for you. I'm going to go with Plick. Is that fair to say? Thank you so much for following, Plick. It's really nice to have you here. I genuinely appreciate your company. Thanks for checking this out. It is my fond hope that you gain some valuable information and hang out and stick around and ask some questions and become a better writer no matter whatever it is you are writing. So, yeah, I've been doing this apparently longer than some people have been alive, and I never really thought about it until earlier today. And I guess, yeah, like I've been doing this half my life, so it makes sense that I guess it's the whole of somebody else's life. Sure, I'm down for that. I hope all of you guys, hi, viewers, hello, 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 and hello. It's nice to see you. Thanks for coming on a Monday. I really do appreciate you guys being here. I know Monday for a lot of people is a messy day, or at least a crazy scheduling day, and I appreciate your opportunity to sit here and talk writing. So, hang on. I'm getting it. I should tell you. Yeah, I really should. I did promise on Thursday I would tell a story, which I will in a moment. But I do want to point out that today, like not an hour, not even like half an hour ago, I was approached to do my first sponsorship, which I said no to, frankly. But I got offered a Raid Shadow Legends sponsorship, which completely reveals to me that these people do not know me, nor do they know like what I do here. Because I don't play games. I mean, I do. I just don't know how to stream them, and I don't do that sort of thing. I'm here strictly and entirely to help people write and answer their questions. And their ads are, in fact, everywhere. And if you go on YouTube, you probably could jump through hundreds of channels just following ads. And I'm happy to do live ads. I've done live ads for companies for years. I've done audio ads. I've worked in video. I've done filmography. I've done ads. I used to make a living making commercials. I get it. But yeah, what I really want, if you guys want to really do me a big favor, what I really want, thank you so much for following Bodacious. First of all, that's a fucking great name. I want the Papermate. I want the pen guys. I want the guys who make the G502. I want the guys who make the Friction erasable clicky pen. I want that. Give me that, and I swear to you, I will move 10,000 pens a month. What is Remarkable? Is that like Rocketbook? The one where you can microwave it and it erases? I have one of those. I have one of the first gen ones. Yeah, those things are, I do love a good Rocketbook in the microwave. I have those. I use it now I use it for like odds and ends, but I would love to shill a digital tablet. Who better than me to pump digital shit? Like, I'm all for it. Feels like writing on paper. Oh my, you're just talking dirty to me after dinner. I mean, come on now. Damn. Oh. I would also be cool with like a 3M or a StenoPad, like live read. I would be happy to sit here and extol the virtues of StenoPads. Yeah, the bot's gonna get you. Sorry, the bot's real strict because I'm old and I don't want to do stuff, but I will just 8 messages were deleted by a moderator. Oh snap! So whatever you did, I love you. You know I do, but yeah, the bot got you. So I promised to tell 2 stories. So one of them was, hey, I got the sponsorship, and yeah, apparently they just want everybody to say their stuff, which is cool. I can totally respect that. I have worked for companies who were like, above everything else, always talk about our shit. Totally legit, respect. But yeah, guys, come on. I'm essentially the greatest English professor you've never had. I am not about to tell you that you can go check out Raid Shadow Legends now on the App Store and the Google Play Store, or whatever they're calling the Google Store now. And you can get anyone from 1 to 47 possible heroes. And if you join right now and use special code, insert the name of your podcast here, you get free shit that they will later use to upsell you on a number of other things. So yeah, take that, Raid Shadow Legends. Give me that sweet StenoPad 3M legal pad money. So that was item number 1. Item number 2, and then I swear we're going to get to pitching. I swear we are. Item number 2, though, I promised this on Thursday. I have to tell the Sia story. So this one goes back away. This one goes back like 20 years, 21 years, because it's 2021 now. 21 years. I was a drunk drug addict in college, working one of my first real big boy jobs, where I had to like show up at a place consistently. But it was okay because I got to be not sober for a living. And I worked for a radio station, and I helped produce commercials, and I helped write sales copy and stuff. And two of the guys I worked for, two of the greatest dudes I ever knew. The nicest people. They loved stories and writing and wrestling and video games and hanging out and having a good time. And it was just like talking to your best friends for a couple hours every day. I loved that job. But they would always end phone calls from callers, or they would always end shows by just saying "see ya" in a variety of different ways, because it was nicer than goodbye, which seems very final. And it was just very positive. And over time, as the show grew in audience and as they got popular and stuff, and as they went from station to station and program to program, they started finding different ways to say "see ya." So after a while, it was just "see ya" or "see ya" or "so," depending on how you want to say it. And that just stuck. And even 20 years later, when people who worked together encounter each other, or if I'm ever on the phone with my brother, or if you're ever listening to me do a recording or a chat, I am very likely to wrap up everything with a "see ya" and then walk away, because that was just burned into my skull when there's a microphone on. So that's the "see ya" story. You can thank a guy named Ron and a guy named Todd for making that part of my brain. I love those guys. Todd recently just died, and it very much messed me up. But Ron's still around. Ron's kicking around, and he's very happy doing whatever he's doing. He's a grandfather now, which is also going to really mess with my head, because when I met him, he didn't even have kids yet. So, yeah. Good times. All right. Are those the extent of my stories? Let's see. Do I have anything else on my evening agenda, or shall we just dive right in? Let me look at my notes. No, I covered those things. Do I have any pending business from last week? Yes. One item. I have not yet made a YouTube command for the chat, so I'm going to type in the chat now, the YouTube channel. If you want to go do me a huge favor, and feel free to follow that at your leisure, I'm more than happy to love you there just as much, if not less, than I love you right here. Oh, I can spell my own name correctly. That's really impressive. All right. That, youtube.com/c/myname, will take you straight to the YouTube channel. Feel free to follow me over there, because, that's where all these recordings and stuff go, plus a few extras, plus a few bells and whistles. So, yeah, it's always nice to follow people everywhere, isn't it? Isn't that the point of social media, to be followed and be delightful? So, thanks, new people, for coming in. I genuinely love seeing you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And now, tonight, having wrapped up all our business, let's talk about what we're here for tonight. Tonight, I need to talk about pitching. It is... Okay. It is... Sorry, I got derailed by an email with a message of, "Hey, good show tonight." So, thanks. I love when those come in while I'm recording. I'm going to flip my phone over. All right. I want to talk about pitching. I know it's a thing we've covered twice already, but there's a different thing I want to talk about tonight. Tonight, my goal is this. I want you, by the end of this recording right now, so over the next hour and 45 minutes, because I want to go for 2 hours. Over the next hour and 45 minutes, I want you to be able, whomever you are, whatever you're writing, whatever stage it's in, whatever you want to do with it, I want you to be able to pitch confidently. At least have one pitch in hand. It's a big swing. It's a big, ambitious thing, but I believe in our ability to do it. And I believe in our ability to work on this together, as well as answer any questions you have. So I'm going to teach you how to pitch. And you can take this pitch and do it verbally, if you're just hanging out with some writers. You can turn this pitch into a tweet with some modification, of course, because, it's Twitter and you got to trim the word count. You can expand this pitch, put it on Facebook. You can expand this pitch with a picture and put it on Instagram. You can, turn this into a dance on TikTok. You can do loads of different things, but I want you pitching within the next hour and 40 minutes. All right? And I first fundamentally want to disabuse you of the notion that pitching is supposed to be scary. It might feel scary, and that's legit. It's nerve-wracking. It's hard. It can make you feel like you're the kid in front of class. It can make you feel like you're taking a test you haven't studied for. I super get that. Totally get that. But I want to take the fangs out of pitching. I want to take the venom out of it, because pitching is something you do all the time for everything else you do in your life. You just don't think of it the same way because the stakes are different. And that's a really big deal. That's something definitely to think about. What am I talking about? What's going on? All right. When you watch a thing, I don't care what it's on. I don't care if it's streaming. I don't care if it's a Blu-ray. I don't care if it's a movie you saw, whatever. When you watch a thing and you dig it and you think it's cool and you want other people to check it out because you want a human being to talk to you about this thing. And so you try to extol the many virtues of that thing you just watched and make it sound exciting so that somebody else will tune in. That thing, that's a pitch. That's a pitch. That's all. Anytime you're like, oh man, you got to check out this show I just started. It's either, amazing or it's hot garbage, or, oh, I can't wait to see that movie. It looks sick. All that stuff. It's just pitching. It's just pitching. I don't know why. I genuinely don't know why. The hashtag writing community has to turn pitching into this tuck your shirt in, fix your tie, wear your pocket protector, get shoved into a locker, get a swirly kind of vibe. Pitching does not have to be this hyper-structured, hyper-dorktacular thing when it's just people talking about the stuff they love. And it's just people talking about the stuff they love in a way that makes somebody else maybe love it more. I want you to think about matches. The alternate version of the graphic for today, which is just two people jumping off a cliff, because that's how pitching can feel sometimes. You're so bad at that. Oh, no. We're going to make you better at it, Plick. We're going to make you better at it. Because that's what we do here. We are doing our best to make the world a positive and better place. So we're in this together. Back to back, old chum, like Batman and Robin. We're going to do this together. I want to get you better at it, and I want to prove to you can do it. So when you're pitching, right, it can feel like you're jumping off a cliff. Absolutely can feel like you're jumping right off a cliff, because you're leaping out into the unknown, and you got these words and you got these ideas, and it's just like, I don't know what's going to happen. Oh, I don't know. This might totally suck. I'm about to face plant into the ocean. This could be real bad. Yeah, I mean, it could also be this amazing thing that changes your life. You jump off this cliff and who knows, maybe you hit the water and you're like, oh my God, I survived. You got to give it an equal chance here. That's a big thing the hashtag writing community doesn't give a shit about. They don't give a shit about you. They don't give a shit about your success. They want you fixated on the fact that as long as you're playing around, you're not getting the work done. Because they don't want you to get the work done. Because they want you playing around so the hashtag stays active. So the community is just about being together. It's not about getting the writing done. And if you want to come test me on this, you can come test me at your earliest convenience. Because I want writers to succeed. And the community wants writers to be a part of the community. Because if you're sitting there hanging out on Twitter all day, you're sitting there playing all the little hashtag games, you're sitting there worrying about contests and this and that, you getting any writing done? How's that writing going for you? We don't stop and think about that nearly enough. So instead, what they do is they build these structures, they build these things that complicate this process, that make it way more messy. And I'm about to knock all of that down. Like an angry kid at the playground, we're just knocking down some blocks. Because we're going to make this nice and easy. So if we're going to jump off a cliff, we're going to jump off into a cliff into the greatest, smoothest, coolest ocean ever. And we're going to feel good about it. So, Plick, I swear to you, we are going to make sure that your partner knows how cool that shit is. And we're going to get everybody on the same page. And here's how we're going to do it. We are going to identify 3 things. I will explain each of them. We're going to identify 3 things that you're going to combine in some order, and that's going to be the basis of your pitch. And then all you have to do with 3 things is practice a couple different ways to do it. Now, there's going to be 3 things. How many things? 3 things. How many things? 3 things. 3 things. That's it. 3 things. You can remember 3 things, right? Even if you got to write it down and read it a million times, 3 things. Now, we're going to call them A, B, and C right now. Now, the order for this might be A, B, and C. But sometimes it might be BAC. Sometimes it might be BCA. Sometimes it might be CBA. Sometimes it might be CAB. Sometimes it might be CCA, because we'll get there later. But 3 things. That's all you got to worry about when you're pitching. All right? Hint, the title isn't always one of them. That's one of those things that really screws with stuff. But we'll cross that bridge. But right now I want 3 things. Here's what I want. So I want you to picture something in your head, whether it's your book or a story or a TV show you just watched, the thing we're going to use the examples for, whatever it might be. Think about your thing, okay? And it doesn't matter if it's done. It doesn't matter if you just start. It doesn't matter if you're about to start. It doesn't matter if you're on, draft 22. Doesn't care. Just picture your thing, okay? Picture the story in your head, whatever it is. It's this TV show with the sexy doctors and stubble and everybody's trying to hump each other, or it's the really exciting sword thing with the ninjas, or it's a space stuff, or it's the cartoon, whatever. Just picture it. Just get it in your head, okay? I want you to identify 3 things for me. A, I want you to identify a character in that story who's pretty central to the story. Maybe it's the main character. Maybe it's one of the main characters. Hell, it could even be the bad guy. Doesn't matter. I want you to identify a central character. Okay? Picture them in your head. Ideally, hopefully, but not necessarily, you even know their name. It would help to know their name, but if you don't know their name, we can work around that. All right? So, A, we need to identify a character. Okay, got that? Everybody cool? Everybody with me? Neat. Let's go into 2. B, the second thing we need. The second of 3 things we need. All right? We got a character. What's next? That character has to want something, right? Because all characters in every story are driven to accomplish tasks. They have goals or things they want, and they're going to do actions and take risks and undergo story in order to accomplish them, right? That's the basis of how stories work. So you've got this character. What does the character want? Just what do they want? You can think about it in a hyper detailed way. You can think about it in a really broad way. Doesn't matter right now. Just think about what they want. Oh, that's the really overburdened melodramatic lady who just wants to find the person they're supposed to love forever and then grow, have a happily ever after moment after 18, 19, 22 years of being a sexy, confused doctor who can't understand why everybody loves them or whatever. Who's the character? That's A. B, what does this character want and how are they trying to do stuff with it? Like, what's up with them? Okay? A and B. With me so far? Everybody cool? A and B. Ready to go to C? Ready to go to C. Here we go. C, the third thing. The very last thing you need for a pitch, all right? Why haven't they, the person in A, accomplished the thing you talked about in B? What's standing in the way? What's the obstacle? What's the challenge? Is it another person? Is it a fear? Is it a feeling? Is it just life coming at them at 1,000,000 miles an hour? What's the opposition for A about B? That's what C is. C is the opposition preventing A from accomplishing B. So let's go over those one more time, all right? And that's a pitch. We're going to go over it one more time. A, we have a character. Main character, ideally, could be an antagonist, could be a protagonist. But it's got to be a main character. It works best when it's a main character. We can do it with a sidekick. We can do it with a secondary character. You can frame Star Wars from Chewbacca or the droids. It takes a little bit more effort. You gotta work a little bit longer, but you can get there. But for now, we're going to pick a main character, okay? Main character, that's an A. B, what do they want? What are they trying to accomplish? What's their goal? Now, the more focused you can get, the more clear you can be without, going so hyper, push your glasses up your nose nerdy that you're assuming too much. You don't need to give every piece of lore away, but give the broad brushstrokes. Give the rough idea, right? Don't just say, oh, they want to be a good guy and defeat the bad guy. That's too vague. But saying something like, they have to draw the 16th card from the 32nd deck on the 23rd equinox of the 4th planet of the Velma system, like going too far into too many details, and we're going to talk about details in a second, going too far into details, swinging that pendulum the other way, also a problem. So you want to find that real big Z-score, that real big middle section, where we're just talking about a character and what they're trying to accomplish. Okay? Character, what do they want? And for the third part, C, we're going to talk about, well, why haven't they gotten it yet? What's in the way? What's the problem? What opposition do they face? What challenges ahead of them? What do they need to do? Why haven't they just accomplished what they want yet? A, B, and C. You take any combination of those three things, any of them, put them together in a way that sounds exciting and active. You don't want to pitch like you just took a ton of cold medicine. All right, so you guys, like there's this bad guy and like stuff, and he's bad. He does bad stuff. Yeah, you don't want to sound like you're falling asleep, because if you're falling asleep, imagine what the listener's going through. So we want to come to this with some excitement. You don't have to be bouncing off the walls like you just had like 45 coffees and you snorted a ton of pixie sticks. I don't know. Somebody younger than me tell me, do you guys still snort pixie sticks? Is that still a thing? I don't even know if they still make pixie sticks. I don't know candy anymore, you guys. I'm ancient. But, you don't have to be all wired and fired up, right? You just need to deliver this in a way that you're going for appeal. Appeal, A-P-P-E-A-L-E, or A-P-P-E-A-L. We'll deal with appeal later. Appeal is the idea that, I think this might like you. I think you might like this. I think this might, dig you. These are ideas you are communicating for writing books. Seems like they should apply for writing software. Absolutely, they should apply for writing software. It'll apply to anything, except in your case, for writing software, your main character would be the user, because they're the main character of the action you're trying to pitch, which is, hey, use this software and it'll make your shit easier. So that's a great point, because you want to take some of these ideas, but you can totally apply them with a little bit of modification. You can tweak any of these 3 points, or hell, even all these 3 points, to come up with a basis for a pitch. So for your writing software, the user would be the main character. And you probably want to address them as you, because you're the one who's going to do this thing. So there's your A. That's the first third. We are a third of the way through your pitch. And then the B is want to accomplish something with the writing software. You want to write I don't know your writing software, so let's just make something up. You want to really organize what you're writing? Boom. But you've had trouble so far? It has not been easy. There's your B and your C. Go check out this software. A, B, C. That's it. We might have to tweak a few things. We might have to roll a few things out. We might have to flop some order around. It's not always going to be ABC, remember. And you shouldn't be limited by ABC. But we're trying to take a combination of these 3 things. Writing software like a book seems like it would be more a written program, more accessible to a broader range of people. Yeah, you could talk about it as in terms of a broader range of people. Absolutely. You're still going to frame it as you, though, because you're talking to the end user. But yeah, you could totally make that available for a broad range of people. No sweat. Back on my point. You're going to take some combination of these 3 things, and you're going to practice combining them with a lot of different language to suggest appeal. Hey, let me try talking to you about this thing this way. Let me try talking to you about this thing that way. We don't only want one pitch. We don't only want to have one pitch that we can only use in a certain way. Like, I have to wait for you to say book before I can talk to you about my book. I want to be able to talk about this thing I love, to talk about this thing I've made, talk about this thing that I think, or I'm fairly confident you're going to enjoy. I want to be able to do that in lots of different contexts, lots of different circumstances. Because if I only have one particular way to go, if there's only one key for one door, I am forever waiting for my chance. Now, I don't know about you, but I am impatient as fuck. I can barely wait for water to boil. So I don't want to just have one thing and then rely on it a million times. Because it's just going to get frustrating. Especially if I only have the one thing and I keep trotting it out and it's not quite working, but it's all I got. So I'm just throwing it at the wall a million times. I'm going to end up more frustrated than successful. I want to have a lot of flexibility when I pitch. Why don't software engineers? I don't know anything about software engineers. I really genuinely don't know enough about software engineers. I guess because they're, I don't know, busy doing software engineering stuff, man. I don't know. But yeah, it would really help to sort of shape and frame pitching. You're right. I don't know why people don't do more things. It'd be cool if they did. So, where was I? Right, pitching, appeal. You want to take a guess, because it is just a guess, right? It's a hope. It's unknown. We're jumping off the cliff here. This idea that, hey, I don't know if you're going to like this, but I'm going to give it a shot. You got to understand, as the person doing the pitching, that moment requires incredible courage. Because who knows what's going to happen next? That's a big deal. And if you're going to talk about something creative, there's a great deal of emotional vulnerability there. And for a lot of people, that's hard to come by for any number of reasons. But it can be difficult to do and deal with. So if you're the person giving the pitch, before we even get the first word out, you got to know, hey, I'm jumping off this cliff here. I'm giving this a try. That's something nobody can take away from me. That's something nobody can stop because I'm just going to do it. And that's something that tells me that, hey, I'm trying this thing and I'm scared. Because this end of publishing, this end of creating your story, this end of doing whatever it is you're doing, it's going to require some courage. Because this is a business, this is a job. And you're dealing with an unknown population, with an unknown amount of the future. You're going to want as much courage and strength as possible to help fortify you against who knows what's going to happen. So, step one, before we even deliver the pitch, you got to understand that when you start that pitch, when you take that first breath in so that you can start going, or that first, right before you've got your tweet open right before you start typing, enormous courage. And I'm hugely proud of you. I'm a dude on the internet, I know, but I am enormously proud of you for even trying. Because there are so many people, you and I both know, there are so many people who talk real big about, oh, one day I'm going to do this, one day I'm going to pitch, one day I'm going to finish, one day I'm going to start. They talk real big, but we never see them move forward, right? We both can think of maybe 10 people right off the top of our heads. Talk real big, don't follow through. You're following through. You're about to pitch. Go you. Big gold star. Big thumbs up. Here, have some of these. You get air horns because you're the one doing a big deal. Good for you. All right. So now we've jumped off the cliff, right? We've started the pitch. There's no backing out now. And I got to tell you, that's a really important point. Once you start pitching, even if this thing, moving the screen over, once this thing starts going, even if it's going badly, like hella badly, like super badly, like, oh my God, I can't wait till this is over. You need to know that you got to finish. Just finish. Don't finish and don't mumble off. Don't just stop halfway through. Go through the whole thing. Go through the whole thing. Even if it's bad. Even if you know 10 words in, you're like, oh, nope, this isn't working. Finish strong. Finish the whole way through. You can always come back again. You can always try again. It might not be immediately, but there will always be another shot. Those two factors, plus the pitching formula you already got, should, by most accounts, help you substantially from where you are. Because, by and large, the ground floor of pitching tends to deal with, I don't know how to pitch. We already covered that with the formula. And I'm afraid to pitch because I just can't seem to put words together. Well, courage and practice, plus a formula, go a long way to build that ground floor, right? And we can apply this to a TV show. We can apply it to software. We can apply it to any object or any person or any story that we're trying to convey or express to another person so that they, the other person, has to do something. Buy a thing, check a thing out, read a thing, sign up for a thing, whatever a thing. We want to engage them. So we've picked a tone and a vibe to communicate that generates appeal. Hey, I'm going to make this sound interesting. I don't know how interesting. Maybe this is too up for a lot of people. Maybe I got to tone it down and just kind of come at you at about this volume. I don't know. I'm talking into a microphone. I'm gauging response. I'm just kind of guessing. I'm jumping off the cliff here. One after the other. Maybe I got to come up a little bit. Maybe I got to tone it down a little bit. Maybe I just got to move in on the microphone and speak real slow. You know, there's loads of different ways to do this. One is not automatically always going to be best. It's about picking and choosing, kind of getting a read, kind of figuring out like, okay, this time I want to try it this way. Okay, I'm going to try it that way next time. Because while this is a job and this can be somebody's career, you can make a living writing books. You can, get your mom a nicer house. You can pay off your car. You can make sure you have groceries and pay for cat food. It's going to take some effort, but it is doable. But pitching is a part of that. And when you pitch, whether it's a book or a movie or a TV show or a Instagram link or a sales page or hey, just get a glass of water, whatever it is, make sure you follow through that pitch and make sure you're trying all the way through. Don't bail out too quickly just because you get scared. It's okay to be scared. Nothing wrong with being scared. Nothing wrong with being scared. But here in this space, we feel fear and do it anyway, right? So we're going to be afraid, but we're going to give it a shot. Because what's the worst that happens? Let's just address this, right? What is the absolute worst thing that happens? The person you're listening, the person you're talking to walks away. They totally check out. They just disengage, right? Okay, if you really want to go far, right? You really want to take it to some like super extreme, they get really angry at you. I don't know why they'd get angry at you. You're just pitching a book to them or a movie or a TV show, but let's assume the worst case scenario. They get furious at you. Well, that's mostly on them because disproportionately their response does not match the thing that is causing the response. So that's more on them than on you. But the worst case regular response, I guess you want to call it, they walk away. Okay, well then there's probably two things at work there. One, they weren't in a position to accept the pitch. They had something going on. They were distracted. They were busy. It just didn't work for them. Or two, the pitch itself didn't entirely click with them. In either case, you can go reconfigure your pitch. One of the big problems I have with the hashtag writing community is there's this movement, there's this idea that if you get a rejection notice, if your query gets rejected or whatever, or if you don't win a contest, the problem must be with the manuscript. The problem must be with that first chapter. The problem has to be with the first 10 pages. The problem has to be with the character. And okay, you write lottery software. I didn't know that was a thing, but that's cool. Okay. Then you probably want to talk to them in more of an open-ended way. We'll get there. Where was I? Right. I was talking about rejection. So you're going to get rejected. You're going to get rejected a lot. That's like a big-ass deal. You're going to get rejected a lot. It's just part of this business. The best way to guarantee you will never get rejected, never try. You can absolutely guarantee a 1,000% success rate with 0 rejections if you never try. It's the only way to guarantee a perfect streak. Just don't bother. Write your stuff, print it out, stick it in a box, leave it in the garage. It's the only way. Any other kind of interaction, any other kind of thing, you run the risk of somebody saying, nah, it's not for me. Good news, though, nah, it's not for me, refers to how you have spoken to them. It refers to the pitch. It does not have to do with the first chapter, the first 10 pages, the first 50 pages, the manuscript, you as a being, you as a writer, you as a this and you as a that. It has to do with the pitch. One of the things they don't tell you in all those query letter contests is that when you get a rejection letter, your manuscript probably didn't even get opened. Probably not at all. They looked at the query. There was an ad. I have no control over ad breaks. I have them set so that it's just kind of like stuff in the middle. I probably should learn how to monitor those things better, but it is literally a function that became aware to me like Friday. But I'm so sorry the ad gave you whiplash. I like making a living, so I have not entirely disabled them. If you would prefer to go completely ad-free, the best thing you can do is check out the Patreon, patreon.com/John helps you create. Things happen. I promise, for you and just for you, I will go look and see how ads are done. I'm sure there's like a slider or a window or something I can play with. I promise I will work on that tomorrow. How's that? Because I got some free time tomorrow. So, rejection happens. Your manuscript probably isn't getting read if they reject the query letter. Because, as my grandmother would say, ain't nobody got time for that. There's just too many other things to do. So, we're going to look at the pitch. We're just going to look at the pitch with our 3 steps and our general sense of like, hey, I just want to try and make this sound appealing to you. And if you get rejected, you get rejected. Because we're at least giving it a try. All right? So, here's where we get a little interactive. Who's got a pitch? Who wants to try? Who wants to be, I swear to you, I will give you air horns. Who's got a pitch? Otherwise, I'm going to think of one myself. Who's got a pitch? Doesn't have to be your book. Pitch me anything. Pitch me dinner. Pitch me breakfast. Pitch me why I should go to your hometown. Pitch me something. Otherwise, I'm going to start pitching you really weird shit because it'll make me laugh. I'm going to pitch you like soda or root. I'm going to pitch you root beer. Or I'm going to pitch you charging cables for your phone because that's what I have on my desk in front of me. Because I want you to see that most of the fear and anxiety in and around pitching is baggage you're bringing to the process. And my job right now is to try and get you to leave that baggage way the fuck over there. Because this is just about organizing some ideas. What ideas? 3 ideas. A character or a thing we're going to talk about. A goal or an idea we're trying to get across that the character or the thing is involved in. And C, third thing, some opposition to that goal. 3 things. 3 things. It would help to give some framework. A spunky ninja kid wants to be the leader of his village, but he has to destroy the demon in him that tried to destroy said village. Everything is great. Everything is great in that pitch except like the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like the last 7 words. Once we get to demon in him, everything's cool. But post demon in him, we kind of fall apart. Here's why. It's a good pitch. You're 90% of the way there. Here's why. You've done the thing that pitching does where you think, and this is not a fault of yours, but when in doubt, when you're at a point where you say, I could either add a fact or I could add emotion or I can try to get somebody to have a feeling, you've picked fact. Don't pick fact so frequently. Pick the emotion. Because if I turn your pitch into a spunky ninja kid wants to be the leader of his village, but first there's a demon inside him who has to die, I've lopped off the idea that the demon destroyed the village. That fact still happens in the book. Nobody's saying otherwise. But now I've turned it into the emotion. Now I've changed my language. So the first there's a demon that has to die. I put the focus on stopping the opposition. It engages the reader slightly more. Choose the emotion over fact when you feel like, I just got to get one more fact in. You probably don't. Lean to the emotion. Remember, the function of a pitch, whether it's a tweet or a query letter or a Facebook pitch or an Instagram pitch or a comment in a Twitch chat or whatever, the function of that pitch is to get somebody else to do something. That does not necessarily mean you need to hyper-inform them about a thing. That's what the product is for. That's what the book is for. You just got to get them there. It's, you know that phrase, maybe it's really old fashioned. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. The pitch, their job is you just got to bring the horse to the water and trust that based on how well you brought the horse to the water, the horse is going to be doing some drinking. So your pitch, man, you're close. You're super close. Ah, there we go. There's the light bulb moment. That's what I love to see. Have some air horns. The thing about a pitch is that you not only need to inform, but tell them it. Wait, hang on. The thing about a pitch is that you need to not only inform, but tell them what at the same time is most used. No? There's a lot of words in there, and I don't entirely agree. The pitch needs to encourage, at least the way I teach pitching. If you want to go elsewhere and do a more informational pitch, cool, totally fine. But I know for fiction and I know for publishing, there's a greater current of emotional evocation that can underpin, should be the word I use, underpin the ideas so that you want to combine a slight fusion of information with emotion to drive someone towards the potential of a purchase. So yeah, it's a pitch. You want to inform's a loaded word. You want to highlight and you want to evoke. So who's got a pitch? Jenna is a new vampire working her way through college at a coffee shop so she can hold on to her human dreams, but her new nature keeps overwhelming her. Ooh, what was the third option? All right, let me do the pitch first, then we'll go back and answer the third option. Yes. Jen is a new vampire working her way through college at a coffee shop so she can hold on to her human dreams. That's great. You may want to be more specific about the human dream and, like pick one of the dreams just so that the reader has some kind of anchor. Because if you say human dreams, do you mean like her hopes and goals, or do you mean like the other day I dreamt about, I was a flying dog? Specificity there might help. But her new nature keeps overwhelming her. Okay, I think you've got the makings of two pitches there stapled together. We can either follow the idea that it's overwhelming and build a pitch unto itself, or we can talk about holding on to dreams, which is a really common thing, right? We get these two great ideas. We want to make sure they show up in pitches, but you got two pitch stuff there because they're two different points. I can hold on to my dreams. That's like my left hand, right? Versus overwhelming, her new nature is overwhelming. Those two things are not related except for the fact that they're happening to the same person. So take one, split it off, make two separate pitches. There was a third option for how to end a pitch, a fact or a feeling. There is a third way, which is to lead someone to take an action. I can give you a fact about stuff, I can help you feel a certain way about stuff, or I can direct you to a thing. Like, hey, if you want to go support this chat as well as many others like it, go check out the Patreon, patreon.com/JohnHelpsYouCreate. Fact, feeling, or action would be your three more or less go-tos, if that makes sense. Who's got a pitch? Well, I put more water in my face because I had dinner. It was pork, and it was a little dry, and man, I am now hella thirsty. I let it go in the oven too long because it was a new recipe. I was giving it a shot. That's my bad. I would pitch you on this pork, but you have to assume that it would turn out better than I did. Oh, man, that's better. All right. How would I end Jesse's pitch? Okay, that's a great question. No, it's totally fine. And I'm sure Jesse is just fine with, assuming I wanted to keep the dream part. If I wasn't going to get more specific about the dream. Oh. Jenna is a new vampire working her way through college at a coffee shop so she can have the picture-perfect life she always imagined. But her new nature keeps interrupting her. Yeah, that pitch is killer. That pitch does it. That pitch works. That pitch works. If you wanted to go backwards, let's just answer the other question. How would I have ended it if we just wanted to keep the dreams? I would have you nailed that pitch here. You fucking nailed that pitch. Good job. ABC, you killed it. So if I was going to end it not that well, I would have gone with something like she wanted to keep a hold of her dreams. I probably wouldn't have ended it with dreams, frankly. I would have probably started with Jenna is a new vampire working her way through college at a coffee shop, pouring cappuccinos and wishing she was still human. I've got to make some assumptions because I only know fragments of the story, but I would probably frame it around the loss of humanity and how her dreams are at odds with that. So it's close to what she had, but I would have softened the language, and I would not have started the last sentence with a but. Because, well, here's why. One of the things you see, in my life, I honestly never sat down and counted. I could do some quick math. Let's do some quick math. Let's see. I worked in traditional publishing for 19 years. So that's 51 weeks a year, 5 days a week. Figure per week looked at, let's be real lowball and say 150 pitches. So you're saying I looked at 38,250 pitches a year. Let's just round it down and say 38,000. Invariably, when you see 38,000 of anything, you start to see very familiar, well-tread patterns. And one of them is almost always in pitches and queries where they put in a but or an until or some other word that's identified as an interrupter. An interrupter is a word that acts like a hinge or a fulcrum, where all of a sudden we hit this word and then everything after that word changes. Such as, it's a beautiful town full of hopes and dreams, until one day the evil wizard shows up. And the back half of the pitch completely recontextualizes the front half of the pitch. Now, there's nothing, let's just be clear, there's nothing wrong with doing it that way. But, here comes a but. Interrupter. Everybody knows it's coming. It is not the only way to pivot from one thing to the next. It's just one of the easiest and most visible ways. How else can we do it? You can reverse it and start with the negative thing into the positive thing. You can break it into multiple sentences. There's no reason that says a pitch has to be one sentence. There's no thing that says a pitch can't be a paragraph. It's fine. It's whatever you can fit into whatever size thing you're pitching. 280 characters on Twitter. I mean, hell, I make a lot work in 280 characters. Facebook, huge, whatever. Wait. Here's Plick. As a spirit, Olin wants to experience all that being human has to offer, but his tribe wants to use their humanity to dominate the earth. Hey, Plick. That's a great pitch. Would I tweak it? Yes, I would tweak it. That's a damn fine pitch. I'd make one small tweak. Yeah, you nailed it. Here, have air horns. I'd make one small tweak, though. Over there with use their humanity to dominate the earth, I'd probably add one extra adjective just to kind of ratchet up the stakes a little bit, turn the tension a little bit. Dominate the earth and enslave humanity, or I would just talk about more stakes about what the other side has to deal with, just to kind of ratchet it up a little bit. And it's entirely optional, frankly, because if you came at me with that pitch, I would ask you for more information, because that's all a pitch is. It's just an opening thing. Hey, can I pitch you this thing? Yeah, and here's my response. It's awesome. Please tell me more. That's all a pitch can do and should do. So good job, Plick. You nailed it. Good job. Yeah. Don't come in here telling me that, oh man, I'm terrible at pitches. You were not terrible at pitching. You just did great. Good job. Who else has a pitch? If not, I'm going to start playing with the template. I would write more of the story first. Yeah, that is a problem. One of the things I encounter when I work with clients is that everybody's like, "Oh my God, I'm terrible at pitching. Can we do some pitches?" And if you're not 80 to 85% of the way done writing or finalizing your whatever it is you're making, you don't really have a reason to pitch it. 80 to 85% at the minimum. And I don't mean like 85% of your first draft. I mean like the draft that you know, hey, this thing's done, it's going out the door. Other than that, no, you don't have to pitch right away. I mean, it can be fun, it can be exciting, it can be interesting. It's a great way to spend some time, but in terms of like sweating it, man, if you're in your first draft, oof. Nah. That's like it's your first day of like first grade and you're worrying about like, okay, when I go to college and become a doctor, this is what's up. It's not the same thing. You are worrying about step 75 when you're on step like 2. Oh, cool. Yeah, you did great. Plick. Welcome. Thank you for pitching. You did. I'm really proud of you. You did awesome. Good job. Good job. All right. Other pitches? Otherwise, we're going to start playing with the format. We're going to start tweaking things a little bit. I want to talk about the value of questions. Do I think creating a pitch could help set a direction, like a mini outline? First of all, good use on repeating mini. Yes, but so hang on. You're going to get one of these. Hang on. Okay. Yes, potentially it could make a mini outline. However, the benefit of a pitch is that it's about the emotion more so than the fact of things. So if you are using your pitch to solidify your story, the underlying problem is that you have not made enough writing decisions. And if, other than Plick, if you've been here a million times, what I always tell you, writing is the act of making decisions. So make some decisions. Could it work? Yes, but it would be a very like basic starting point. The rest of the vector, the rest of the trajectory for it would have to come from more decision making. But yeah, you could use a pitch to sort of start as a very I don't like making decisions. Well, you know what? You are really in for a delightful existence because existence is just packed with decision points. I'm sorry, I didn't set the rules for this multiverse. If I did, I'd have way better abs and I'd have way more cooler powers. So, yeah. Got to make some decisions. But yes, effectively, you could use a pitch as at least a starting point from which to draw further decisions. Yes. All right, fair enough. Okay. Shall we move into a different direction now that we're about the 1 hour mark? Does anybody else have a pitch out there? Anybody feeling froggy? Anybody want to jump? Anybody want to check, hey, I got this other idea. What about this? Or how do I do this? Or how do I do that? Otherwise, we're going to start swimming in a little bit deeper waters. We're going to jump off an even bigger cliff. Everybody ready? Everybody cool? Everybody digging this so far? Side note, this is the general tone I want to adopt for most of the Monday streams. Just kind of me talking to you. A little less structure. A little bit more, I'm just going to teach at you. Because this stuff, this content, used to be done entirely in person, before, like, the plague. It was also done, like, 15 years ago. So this is my chance to kind of redo it, and I'm quite pleased about it. So, other pitches? Everybody cool? Yeah, I'm totally down to teach at you. I will just aggressively, positively, all right, so one of the big teaching influences of my life, other than like just my various actual jobs where it was like, explain that to that person until they get it. This is going to sound real dumb. There's a Nicolas Cage movie called Adaptation where Brian Cox plays Robert McGee. Robert McGee is a guy who knows story inside and out. And he stands on the stage in about 2 or 3 scenes with Nicolas Cage sitting in the audience. And Nicolas Cage in this movie is a screenwriter. He's trying to get through writer's block and write his stuff. And Brian Cox is standing there dressed like everybody's dad. Just imagine just a guy in like khakis and a collared shirt with like a vest, sweater vest pullover kind of vibe. And he's just standing there yelling. He's just yelling. He's cursing and yelling and making everybody laugh. And then he's just like somebody asks a question and he just unloads like this like, oh shit, light bulb moment, but also like, it's Brian Cox, so there's some profanity in it. I totally dig that. Totally dig that, because that's exactly how I normally sound. If you've ever come on Wednesday, yeah, or you ever just heard me on a voice chat or talked to me, this is how I sound all the time. Maybe it's a Jersey thing. Maybe it's how I was raised. I don't know. Whatever. All right, ready to go deeper. Here we go. I want to address two things that I see a lot of people do when they pitch, and I want to fix it. Because they're not, all right, to be clear, it's not wrong. But you know how when we're doing just stuff in the world, we see somebody do it, and we know right away that they're not good at it or they're new at it? We kind of like see them riding a bike and we see the training wheels. And you know, like, oh, well, yeah, they're new. Okay. I want to take the training wheels off you because you don't need them. We have we have A, B, and C, and we can compose different ideas around A, B, and C and find language to evoke emotion. So we don't really need these training wheels. And one of the big training wheel sets that everybody kind of staples onto, and you see this in #writing community bullshit horseshit contests. They frame everything as questions, or more specifically, they frame the last half of their pitch as a question. You also see this if you ever write a back blurb, the text, the paragraphs that go on the back of a book. People always want to do two things. They want to ask questions and then they want to use ellipses, ... Sometimes both. Sometimes at the same time. Sometimes in every sentence, because they're relying on that punctuation, the question mark and the ellipses, to lead the reader to ask questions and feel things. And that's really the job of the text, not the punctuation, which is the fault of the writer for not getting it on the page and hoping that this question mark is going to show up like Superman and save him. Because the question mark doesn't do that. It can only do so much. So I want to address the idea that, well, how am I supposed to make you care about something if I don't frame it as a question? First of all, you're asking somebody a question about a thing where they don't have any context. I don't know if anybody's ever asked you a question that they have no context for, but it is categorically near impossible to get them to answer it in a satisfactory way. Here, would you like an example of what I'm talking about? Should I use this one or that one? Just for the record, I've got two things in front of me. Should I use this one or that one? You, without any further detail, cannot responsibly answer that question. Sure, you can just go use that one. And then I say this one, you go, no, the other one. You can make a gag out of it. You can make a joke out of it. But in terms of what I'm talking about, you have no idea. You have no idea if the two things I'm talking about are meaningless to me, or if one is meaningless, or one is meaningful, or if they're both important, or if they're both urgent. You have no... You're always a fan of that one? Yeah, to be fair, that one, it's a good choice. Word. But when you frame it as a question, you can't possibly answer it. So how are you as a listener supposed to respond to a question? What, does the person asking it want you to go, I don't know? Use Luna? No, actually, Luna is the busy one right now. Linus, well, they're both busy. Linus is over there chewing on fish, and Luna is climbing the cat tower. So we're both busy because it's evening and we're chilling. Because we're kind of getting close to that, let's start meowing at John so that we can go to bed vibe, because we've got about 2 hours before I go crash. So we're winding down our day. But for the record, I was holding two pens. Do I use this one or that one? The blue one or the other blue one? But you, again, couldn't answer without more details. And pitches are not where details live. Pitches are where a little bit of detail and emotion live. So if you're going to frame things as questions, prepare for the other person on the other end to be slightly paralyzed or uncertain of how to react. And I don't know if you've ever tried to convince somebody to take action, but paralyzing them and making them unsure of how to act makes it very difficult to figure out how to act. So, you don't want to frame things as questions. Example question I see a bajillion times. Can Karen figure out who she really loves? Why should we give a shit? Why does it matter? Who cares? You have to make us care about Karen, who's probably going to ask for a manager halfway into her love triangle. You have to make us care. You've got to give us more than a question, because the question, whenever you ask a question in a pitch, you are assuming the listener knows as much and feels the same way you do, because otherwise you wouldn't be framing it as a question. Hey, do you think I should sleep in tomorrow now that my morning meeting's been canceled? Is she asking the manager to join? God, I wish somebody would give me a Karen love triangle where the manager is brought in as the third part, as like a third party, or the other guy. Even in the most hetero circumstance, I'd be so down to read that. I got to say, I've been reading I've got some clients working on some excellent, not very hetero love triangles, which is super exciting. But I would just love one if it was like, I'm a real hostile customer. That's the manager. We have to come together and get it on. That would bring me joy to my day in a big, meaningful way. I wish. Yeah, do what you got to do and say hi to your mom for me. That's not an actual your mom thing, but like, go talk to your mom. It's totally fine. It was good seeing you. Thanks for coming. I appreciate you being here. All right. So when you frame it as a question, you are expecting the reader to have, or the listener, to know more than they do, which is going to make it hard for them to say yes to your pitch. The goal with a pitch is to get the other person, whether they're reading it or hearing it or whatever it, the goal is to get them to be interested. That's it. That's it. It's not a quiz in school. It's not a job requirement. It's just, hey, can if I use this chain of words, can I make you more interested in them? So, framing it as a question, it kind of sort of works because everybody's kind of sort of counting on somebody framing something as a question. But instead of having an explicit question, meaning one of the sentences in our pitch is a question, we want an implicit question. Because we want the other person, the receiver of our pitch, to be generating their own questions. So, for example, let me scroll up and find, where's Plick's thing about a spirit experiencing? There we go. So, Plick's pitch, we're gonna repeat it on you. So, as a spirit, Olin wants to experience all that being human has to offer, but his tribe wants to use their humanity to dominate the earth. That's going to create some implicit questions, some unspoken questions. Why? Because there's no questions in the pitch, which is good. So the reader, the other person, the receiver of this pitch, is going to try and come up with their own questions. And we don't know for certain what questions they're going to come up with. It is not our job. It is not our... Hang on, where's the music? It is not our job to try and predict the questions the other person is going to bring to the conversation. We could not possibly begin to pick all of them. Maybe we could guess a few. Maybe one, maybe two, maybe even three, depending on how the pitch is. But there are so many people who could come at this in so many ways. We couldn't possibly list all the questions somebody might think of. So don't even bother. It's just not worth it. So instead, don't sweat their questions. Let them generate questions. Let them get excited based on what you have told them. Because more is coming, provided they want to seek more information. You're happy to help them answer their questions. Hand them your manuscript. Hand them your book. Tell them where they can go buy it. Tell them where they can go get it. It's okay. It doesn't have to be this constant spoon-feeding process. So one training wheel set we get rid of is asking questions. The other is spoon-feeding. Spoon-feeding happens especially in contests when you are desperately hunting for validation, when you are desperate to try and get somebody somewhere to pay attention. So you are throwing everything at the wall. And my urge to you, if not my demand to you, is to just back up a little bit. Just it's not that big a deal. It might feel like a big deal because you really want that validation. You really want that experience. You really want the other person to be as excited as you are. I get it. But if you back up a little bit and give it a little bit of space, you're going to allow them to get more excited than if you're all up on them. And what do you think? What do you think? Do you like this? Is it cool? Do you like it? What do you think? Does that sound okay? Do you like it? Eliminating that tension by just waiting a second, slowing down a little bit, makes all the difference. This is probably also a really good point to talk about a thing that radically dooms a lot of writers. I wish maybe I should get more dramatic music for this. Hang on, let's look for more dramatic. Let me do this with 2 fingers. I don't know if that's more dramatic, but it's different. I want to talk about self-rejection. Self-rejection runs rampant when you talk pitches. Self-rejection, if you don't know what it is the idea that you think that the whole pitch sucks. And by extension, your writing sucks, the book sucks, you suck. Everything's a problem, everything's wrong. Nobody could possibly be interested at all in anything you have to say because you're you and they're them, and automatically you are putting yourself like so far down that being down would actually be an improvement. Like, you are ready to say no long before they ever get a chance to. You are saying no for them so that you don't have to worry about being rejected. You don't want to read my stuff. Come on, it sucks. I mean, I know it's not any good, but whatever. You are looking for all the different flavors of that, all the different ways to do that, so that somebody else couldn't possibly say yes because you're too busy saying no for them. I want to point something out. Hang on. Okay. I want to point something out. I was trying to find like something not so upbeat because it sounds weird if I've got upbeat music underneath me and I'm talking about something heavy. Listen very carefully. If you are trying to reject on the other person's behalf, say no for them, and you're convinced they're going to say no, and you've developed some kind of weird like X-Men mutant mind reading power, I don't want you pitching. I have many questions about how the world works, and I could really use your help in some other endeavors. So if you've got this ability to read minds and you're so certain that it always works because you're always so eager to reject your stuff before somebody else does, please come find me online. Find me on Twitter. Find me on the Discord. Find me, write me an email, do whatever you got to do, because I have some very definite like lifestyle needs that somebody with mind reading would be well suited to help me fix. So yeah, if you're confident you can read minds because you're always telling everybody that you suck, come talk to me because I need to know some lottery numbers, and it would really be awesome if perhaps you could help me figure out the combination to some bank vaults. There's just some shit I gotta buy. And if you maybe knew where like people had PS5s, that'd be super cool too. So yeah, there's some stuff I could use your help with if you're such a great mind reader that you're busy saying no. The other problem that comes up when you're always telling somebody no is that you might be wrong. They might want to say yes. They might be looking for a book that is totally about a vampire working at a coffee shop, or totally about a spirit who wants to, push back against their tribe, or a spunky ninja kid who wants to stand up to their village. Like, there's loads of potential there that you're not letting me access because you're too busy saying, no, you wouldn't be interested in that. How do you know? Just how are you so confident about me not liking your stuff, but so not confident in the idea that you maybe wrote a good thing to begin with? How did we get there? What happened? When did we sign up for this? I don't want this newsletter. Unsubscribe. This is not what I want. You never know with a pitch. It's always 50-50. Maybe they'll say yes. Maybe they'll say no. Every time. Every pitch. Now, yeah, there are some things that influence that, right? Like if you pitch the same person 10 times in a row, you might experience diminishing returns. Because if I give you, 7 no's in a row hyper quickly, I might be really irritated with you when you roll up on me one more time with an 8th pitch. And I might, okay, fine, give me another one. Just to say no to you, because I've said, this many no's in a row. But every pitch is a new opportunity. Every pitch is another shot. You don't know if they're going to say no. Now, granted, hopefully, ideally, you're not constantly bringing only one pitch up. You're not only doing the one thing over and over and over, hoping, sometimes, somehow, some way, you're going to get a different answer. This is why it's really important to have those different pitches. Well, what if I talk about it in this way? What if I talk about it in that way? What if I come at it this way? What if I do that? You want that flexibility, because if every pitch is a 50-50, then more pitches give you more 50-50s. Maybe they'll say yes to this. Maybe they'll say yes to that. You just don't know, which is why we try. Make sense? Everybody clear? Because now we're going to start playing with the format. I am probably going to get flagged because now all of a sudden, the Imperial March is coming up. I didn't even realize that was a thing. So we'll probably have to mute that audio. So I will just say that part again, just in case. How do I want to say this differently? Oh no. Did my stuff drop? I've got an error message. Well, we will assume everything's fine until I hear otherwise. So, here we go. First and foremost, fundamentally, every pitch is a new shot, 50-50. Every pitch is a different chance. So we want to have different tools in our toolbox so that we maximize our total number of chances. That's how we're going to say that. All right. Whew. On we go. So, let's go play around with the form. Once we know A, B, and C, once we have a character, once we have a focal point, once we have an activity they want to accomplish, and once we have some kind of opposition, the thing we can start to affect with our combination, with our triad of 3 things, we can affect stakes and urgency. Stakes are the idea of what happens if we screw this up? What happens if we go wrong? What happens if we don't save the day? What happens if the hero fails? Plick's pitch, remember way back with Plick's pitch, this idea that the spirits were going to use humanity to dominate the earth. There's some stakes already in there, which is what makes Plick's pitch really strong, because the stakes are there. They're going to dominate the earth if we're not careful. If you're going to bring up stakes, it is frequently seen in the end of a pitch, because you want to use that as a landing point or a punchline almost. If they don't do this, bad things happen. Boom. Done. Leave the reader thinking about, I hope they succeed because I know the bad stuff. It doesn't have to be that way, though. You can put stakes up front. Fearing for the destruction of all mankind, one lone scientist races against the clock. You can put stakes anywhere, as long as they're there, if you want to have stakes. If you're trying to use stakes, you're trying to create a specific emotion in the reader, usually fear or doubt or urgency. The other thing you want to try and build for is time, urgency, drive. Now, sometimes this is referred to as a ticking clock. And a ticking clock can be very straightforward, where you can say something like, if they don't solve the murder within 6 days, something bad happens. Or, come Monday, the person he loves leaves town forever. He has to spend the weekend chasing them down. You're using time to create what are called artificial boundaries. Now, whether or not they're actual boundaries in the story is sort of irrelevant to our pitch. Because if I want to go see that, I'll go read the manuscript or whatever. But for our purposes, artificial boundaries exist only for the pitch. Time is probably the most common artificial boundary. As would competition. You're trying to if you're the kid who learns karate from your janitor and has to go crane kick preppy blonde kids in the face, your artificial boundary would be winning the Hill Valley Karate Tournament. But more often than not, you're going to use time as your most frequent artificial boundary because it creates a sense of like the story doesn't slow down. The story doesn't drag on or take forever or feel like some parts are better than others because they're faster. It creates this sense of like, hurry up, you got to read this, hurry up, oh my God, oh my God. It's a way to lift that sort of tone in your pitch. It creates a kind of excitement. It's one of the benefits of using time as an artificial boundary. Most of the time, frequently when you see time as a boundary, you're going to see it at the beginning of a pitch because it helps set context early. There's no reason why you can't do it at the end. You know, use it as a sort of a payoff like we talked about with stakes. And you'd set this up probably with sentence fragments. We're going to talk about that in a second. But you can use it to set up with like 200,000 tests, 4 people, 1 locker room, 1 weekend to figure out who gets into college. We use time at the end to help package all our ideas, as opposed to using it at the beginning to set the urgency for our ideas. One point I really want to drive home that I know wins me 0 fans in the hashtag writing community. I'm completely 1,000 bajillion% okay with you using sentence fragments in a pitch. Or onomatopoeia. Or a load of different stylistic tools. Like if you wanted to use the word boom in a pitch, go ahead. Do whatever. I mean, if you think it's going to provoke interest in me so that I say, ooh, please tell me more, why not do it? What's the worst case? I say, no, it's not for me and walk away. It's a 50-50, remember? I'm not saying like you got to push boundaries of poor taste or be intentionally offensive or something bad like that. Obviously, that's not what I'm talking about. Well, what I am talking about is just the plain old simple idea of not everything needs to be these big, giant, long, hyper-academic sentences. You just need to sound like a person talking to another person. And I don't care if the person you're talking to is me and I've got 2 decades of experience, or it's somebody with a job title in an office, or whether it's some fool on Twitter, or whether it's 25 people in a room if that's your jam, or whatever. Just be you, be a person. Because the reader, I don't know if you know this, the reader, the end user, likely they're also human. So if you're able to start that communication and build that bridge from the jump, from the pitch, as a human to other humans, you're going to go a hell of a lot farther. Yes, there is a value to sounding professional sometimes. Yes, there are contexts where sounding professional is an advantage. But by and large, when you are looking to provoke emotion in other people, simplicity and honesty are great tools for that. Because humans, by and large, on some level, can sniff out that artificial, insincere fakeness. And whether we're talking about it and framing it in terms of like, you got to be real, or whether we're talking about it in terms of like congruence with your personal identity, or whether we're talking about it in terms of just plain old approachability, you need to pitch in a way that connects to the listener. And you need to pitch with a kind of confidence that suggests that you don't know if specifically these words are going to do it, but you will make a connection. You just got to keep trying. So when we're playing, I'm going to get a mouthful of water first. Hello, viewer. It's nice to see you. Thanks for coming in. So when you're playing around with this format, the only limitations you have are going to be, on one hand, dictated by the medium in which you are pitching. For example, if you are doing an in-person thing, let's say you do like a Zoom pitch conference, you probably have a time constraint or something. You probably have like 15 people in a line and you each get 30 seconds or something, right? So you've got some constraint there. You can't just talk for hours and hours and hours. I mean, you'd need a Twitch channel for that. David's sister was kidnapped. Riddled by guilt, he needs to make a choice. Continue his life or save his sister. Does that add stake and keep the formula? Yes, it does both of those things. I would question the positioning of the idea of guilt in the dead smack center of your pitch, because that makes it sound like David is the one who did the kidnapping. But by and large, the pitch works. You can strengthen it by saying David needs to make a terrible choice: continue his life or save his kidnapped sister. But that also leaves you a little bit of space to add more detail. Personally, for me, I'd add a little detail. I'd get a little closer. I'd use more evocative language. I'd ratchet things up a little bit, but that's me. It's a good starting point for a pitch. Just push it more. A little bit more. You'll get there. But when we're playing around with our format, when we're playing around with how we organize ideas, we want to use the tools we have, and we want to build that connection with another person. So part of pitching, whether we're talking to the most professional person or the most cash person, we're going to pitch and set this up in such a way that we kind of get a guess as to who's listening to us. So for me, just here's a fun fact. If you ever want to pitch me, like legit pitch me a thing, you can get away with a great deal of very casual latitude, because I tend to be fairly casual with things. Very, very rarely do I come in here going like, hello, I am here to pitch, because I'm too old for that shit. Pitches don't have to be short. Not really. Short is going to be that thing dictated by the constraints of the medium in which you're pitching. So as we talked about before, if you're doing it in person, you probably have a clock. If you're on Twitter, it's the length of a tweet. If it's Facebook, it's the focus attention of other people. If it's Instagram, it's their ability to scroll. There's always going to be some kind of constraint, but pitch size is not always going to be one of those factors that makes a difference. It does not always have to be one sentence. In fact, some really good pitches are terrible, or some great ideas, some great books are rendered absolutely ugh if you boil it down to one sentence. It doesn't have to be short to be automatically good. There is a time and a place for a shorter pitch. And that's when the language in that pitch is so evocative and so dynamic that it very quickly encourages reaction. But by and large, pitch can be the size a pitch needs to be. Is there a too far? Can you go too far? Absolutely. You want to chain together like 6 super long sentences, it's going to be difficult for the reader to kind of focus and see what's going on. But again, that's going to be a function of how you are pitching. Does that make sense? When in doubt, I know, and social media, the hashtag writing community especially, loves to try and drive everybody towards a specific thing. Doesn't need to be. The reason why the alleged professionals want to see like one sentence pitches, it's 2 factors. They try to drive it this way. One, because they want to give the impression that they're so busy and their time's so valuable that you can only do short pitches because they just have so many. This is possibly true, but also probably embellished. They're not actually as busy as they want you to think they are. And 2, and more practically, they understand that the average writer on Twitter tends to run at the mouth. They might have 280 characters, but they will end up talking about their book in like a 7-tweet thread. And they want to get you to the point. Get to the good stuff. Give me the pitch. Put the good stuff out there. That does not mean only give me the most starved 12 words. There's a value to that sometimes, but sometimes you need more than a sentence. Sometimes you're going to need 1 or 2. Sometimes you're going to need 3. It's about taking the best package for the information and getting it across, however big that package is. Because a good pitch is a good pitch independent of its size. We can do a lot in terms of scaling pitch size, where we can talk about like Is shorter automatically better? No, not always. Shorter can be, well, the shorter you go, ideally, the more intensely dynamic you're being, the more provocative you're being. Because if I really want to grab your attention, I'll just say, fuck you. I mean, I can go even shorter. I can get it down to one word and just call you a name and definitely provoke something. But in terms of giving you a combination of information and emotion, I'm going to need more than a few words. And yeah, it's cool that you dragged out that semicolon. Good job on the semicolon. But after a while, I mean, how many times are you going to rewrite things into one sentence where you have a semicolon and a couple dependent clauses? We don't always want all our pitches to look the same way. You want to have that flexibility, remember? So be flexible. When we're playing with the format, when we're shaping things as we want, if there's a thing to prioritize, a thing to put a gold star by, a thing to keep in mind, it's that the reader is not always looking for their first chance to run away. It's that instead of assuming that the reader is like looking at their watch going, God, when can I get away from this fool? Instead, think about it in terms of what chain of things, concepts, pictures, ideas can I link one after the other, after the other, after the other, so that this person has a reaction that I can solve by giving them more information. Rather than assume like, oh God, when is this over? What can I tell them so that they go, oh, I'm listening, give me more. Part of that's going to come from practice. Part of that's going to come from coming up with multiple variable different ways to do it. And part of it's just going to be flip a coin, dumb luck. And that's why we practice. I'm going to get one more mouthful of water, and then I think we should probably tackle common pitch problems. Troubleshooting guide for pitches. Does that? Yeah, I think that's how we're going to take our last half hour together today. I should do the bit of business now while I'm thinking about it. The next time I'm here, the next time I am streaming, will be in 2 nights. Will be Wednesday night at 7 p.m. Eastern for this week's Writer's Chat. There is also a better than average likelihood there will also be a Thursday stream about something. I don't know, something. That decision will get made on Wednesday. Or at least announced on Wednesday, and I'll make that decision on the Discord at some point. Probably tomorrow. But it looks more than likely like I'll be doing some other thing, some other workshop, some other concept Thursday night. I just don't know what yet. Maybe it'll be another marketing thing. I'm not sure. But that's for Thursday, John, to sort out. For now, the next time I'm here will be Wednesday, the 29th at 7 p.m. Eastern. All right. Let's troubleshoot some common pitch problems. Yeah, 3 streams. Oh, man. Like a real bro. Because it gives me more to put on YouTube, and I like doing this stuff, and it's exciting. And frankly, I'm struggling through all my video games at the problem, so this is a nice alternative where I get to feel like I accomplished something rather than get frustrated. Gives me something to do. Keeps me off the streets, as the kids say. I don't know if the kids still say that. I mean, also there's a plague, so why would I be on the streets? All right, let's troubleshoot some pitches. Common problems. Item number 1. Most common problem. Pitch runs way too long. Tells me an awful lot, but it doesn't encourage me to do anything. This is an information emotion out of balance, where there's too many facts, too much emotion. Now that's going to reveal a few things about the person delivering the pitch. 1, they're probably really, really, really excited to talk about their stuff, which is not necessarily automatically a bad thing, but it usually means in their rush to tell you all about the cool shit they made, they've kind of sort of forgotten the point of the pitch in the first place, which was to get you to do more than just listen to them tell you cool shit. It was to get you to buy the book or check out a website or do a thing, take action in some way. So when the information exceeds the emotion, I want you to imagine like just a big block coming at your face, just a wall of text or like a cinder block or something hard that when it strikes you, it's going to cause you some kind of physical discomfort. Because information without emotion is just overwhelming. Oh my God, you're just giving me facts. And I don't know how to explain this to you, but if you just gave somebody 16 statements, you are counting on them to understand what those 16 things have to do with each other to the degree you mean them to have anything to do with each other so that you can get your idea across. Too many facts slows us down. Too many facts are hard to care about because how do we prioritize them? They're not all equal, right? Just because they came all at once doesn't mean that, item number 4 counts as much as item number 3, or that you want us all focused equally on every single one, like all the slices of our pie are the same size. We don't know what to do with that. You didn't give us any instruction. You just threw these things at us and was like, you figure this out. Well, no, I don't want to. So I'll just walk away. So that happens when there's too many facts, not enough emotion. When the pitch, and generally a pitch with too many facts, is just long. There's just a lot of words. It's multiple paragraphs. And yeah, I understand that there are some pitch types that have multiple paragraphs, like a query letter. But this is an extreme case where I'm talking about like before you even get around to talking about like the meat of the book or the stakes or the plot or something, you're giving me 4 paragraphs on the character. I didn't ask for that. That's not going to encourage me to say yes, because you're just telling me about like the color mole on the person's left wrist, which is a nice detail, and I'm really glad that you spent the time to think about it. But how is that going to help me say yes and go, yeah, I'll give you money for this book? So be careful with the facts you provide. This does not mean you, as the producer of this pitch, have to get all up in your head trying to figure out what I'm going to like. No. It just means don't like drown me in facts. Don't forget that a pitch is information plus emotion. And if you miss you miss the mix sometimes, try again with a different pitch. You're going to fail. You're going to mess this up. It's just part of what happens. It does not mean that the idea sucks. It doesn't mean that the book is bad. It doesn't mean you're a bad writer. It just means that this combination of words didn't work. I made dinner tonight and it was okay. It wasn't great. We all had high hopes for it. It was going to be delicious. The cats were going to get some leftovers. It was going to be a banger. And I make it and it's just kind of, it's all right. Next time I try it, I'm going to try this, this, and this. I'm going to add this and take this out and do more of this and do less of that. And we'll see. You've got to be willing to be okay with the mistakes you make. Just like when you're writing. You spell a word wrong doesn't mean you format your hard drive and give up writing just because, oh my God, you spelled guarantee wrong. Just doesn't need to. Just try again. So, first, most common problem. Way too much info, way too few emotions. Let's go look at the other side of that. Way too much emotion, way too few ideas. This is an also common problem that's generally going to describe an awful lot of nervousness on the part of the reader, the part of the producer. And it leads the reader to just sort of feel overwhelmed and confused, but in a different way, because now instead of having 17 facts coming at them, you have one fact being just beating you in the face until you know what to do with it. Well, there's this thing and it's cool. 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 And just so we're clear, if you have to keep saying this one thing is cool, It's not cool. If you have to keep telling everybody that you're totally okay, you're not okay. If you were really okay, you wouldn't have to say it so many times. If that one guy at the party was really cool, he wouldn't keep trying to sell everybody on the idea that he's cool. He'd just be cool. When you have too many emotions and too few facts, the story you're pitching is going to feel very unfinished and very loose, very unstructured. As if you're trying to use too many emotions to kind of duct tape or sandwich or cement together too few ideas spread out too thin. Like, you got ideas. They're there a little bit. But it's sort of like, it's like a sandwich where you only have like one piece of lunch meat, but you got big ass bread. So it looks like it's a giant thick sandwich, but really it's just like huge bread. Itty bitty sandwich, huge bread. It's not going to be very satisfying to enjoy because you got these big ass ends in this very skinny middle, and sandwiches are the one time where big ass ends and skinny middle aren't great. I'm leaving that joke in for Jeff and several of my friends who will listen to that later. It made me laugh. It's fine. So, here we are. Striking that balance between emotion and information comes from trial and error. Once you get it for one pitch, make a new pitch. Because you already know what one works. So we've got that one covered. So try a different one. See if we can do it again. Not because we're trying to see if lightning will strike twice, or not because you can only do it once and you blew your shot, but get in the habit of coming up with different ways to approach the problem. It's only going to be to your benefit. Now let's tackle a third, my man. Now we're gonna tackle a third very common pitch issue. You know what? I'm gonna juggle my list around a little bit. Let's go the other way. The pitch starts strong but ends poorly. And I don't just mean like you miss a word when you're typing it out or you pick a word that's weak. I mean like the ending doesn't make sense relative to the beginning in a big radical way. Like you're not close, you're way off. You see this in stories where you have like a bajillion, like you see this in epic fantasy, just straight up. You see this in multiple point of view, big epic fantasy where everybody's trying to be Game of Thrones. Oh my God, there's like 15 characters and 12 points of view and 4 different continents, and there's like horses and dragons and shit, and there's this going on, and there's these 5 guys, and then those 2 chuckle fucks over there. Like there's just a ton of shit in this book. And the pitch starts off really big because there's your main plot. But then you get this idea in your head like, oh, but my story is more than that one plot because I have all these characters and I totally want to sell this shit to a streaming service and then never have to work again in my life. So you dump all this stuff in the ending of the pitch and you don't know how to end it, so you just stop. Or you leave it hanging and it feels messy and awkward. The ending of your pitch matters because the ending helps tie a whole bow, a whole package. It, if we're talking narrative terms, closes the loop on the start of the pitch. This does not necessarily mean you have to repeat the beginning at the end like we're singing a song and we're just rhyming the ends together. It's not bookends where we've got like 2 different like brass statues on my bookshelf. I guess it's bronze, not brass, but you know what I mean. It's just that you have to have an ending that leads to the other person having the ability to have some kind of reaction that is not just, huh? Or, the fuck was that? Those are 2 reactions you want to avoid because those are not the reactions of somebody who's like, hey, I have money, please give me your story. So make sure your ending encourages reaction. Beginnings are very easy to engineer to encourage reaction because we know to start strong. We know to grab the audience right away. We know to get right to the good stuff and make it sound exciting. But doing it for endings, doing it for the follow-up, the second paragraph, the second or third sentence, the very last sentence, whatever, a lot of people struggle with that because they're just like, I got your attention. Okay, now what do I do with it? Well, you package it. You do something with it. Okay, what point do you want to make? You've got my attention. I'm here. What do you want to do? What do you want to say? And then you just try it. Just try it. Let's do a different troubleshooting. Let's say you don't know how to start. Let's say you know how to end, because you know, like in your head, like, oh, this ending's banger. I got it. Where do I start? You start anywhere. Start anywhere. Some starts are going to be better than others. Absolutely. Just like anything else in the world. But you can start a pitch anywhere. You can start a pitch so that it engages with the character. Remember our ABC formula from the beginning? You can start with an A. Sure, start with the character. Nothing wrong with that. You could start with the opposition to the character accomplishing their goal. Kevin has to learn how to ski. Kevin hates snow. Kevin hates snow. So imagine his surprise when, in order to get the date with the girl he loves, he has to ride the devil's backbone at the height of winter during a blizzard. Sure. You've got A, B, and C. Start with one of those. Which one? I don't know. Pick one. Try it. You just need to grab reader, audience, listener, viewer attention. And then carry all the way through the entire pitch so that you're covering A, B, and C in some order to some degree, so that the combination of information and emotion lead the person on the other end of the experience to go, okay, I want to check this out. Where can I go to get more information? Or something to that effect. Or, shut up and take my money. Or, okay, cool, tell me more. Some version of that. So that you then have the next step of like, okay, well, go read my manuscript, or go check out my website, or go click this link and buy my book, or go check out my Patreon, or go do this, or go do that. That's what we're trying to do. That's the magic trick of a pitch. It's not terribly scary. It's not terribly like, oh my God, this is awful. It's just A, B, and C, information and emotion, practiced over and over and over, coming at it in a million billion different ways. Okay? That's what I got for you tonight. Are there any questions about any part of this? Or if you have a pitch and you'd like some help with it, I'm happy to do that in our closing minutes together tonight. Questions, issues, whatever's, I'm all yours. It appears through no fault of my own that there's a slight delay back. I don't do that. I didn't control that. It seems to be a bandwidth Twitch throttling thing. Whatever. I will cross that bridge later. I'm so glad it was a chance for you to learn a lot. I really hope it was good. This is one of my favorite topics to workshop and discuss. It's really great when you have active people in chat or active people in front of you. I've done this same exact kind of stuff to a Zoom workshop and had nobody say anything. And it is an incredibly uncomfortable experience to ask somebody like, hey, let's work on your pitch. And they just sit there. I guess because they weren't expecting you to like do stuff. You're very far from pitching, but I'll check out my YouTube. You know what? I would really appreciate that, Plick, if you checked out the YouTube. That's youtube.com/C/John Adamus. Because there are other things. There's whole months of writers' chats. There's other workshops we've covered with characters and plot and world building and plenty more stuff where that's, we're going to do more, at least 2 uploads a week, if not more. I'm trying to, maybe, it's not going to be an every night thing, because no, sometimes I need to like hang out and watch TV or something. But by and large, I'm trying to grow as much content out there as possible so that it's not just living in my brain. Spent a lot of time while listening trying to trim down my pitch, and then I said it could be longer, and I like longer because it works better. And I have helped you write it. So yeah, yes. Longer is not a permission slip, though, to run too long. So keep that in mind. There is sort of a ceiling here, depending on the medium to which you are pitching. But longer is okay. It does not need to be hyper short in order to be effective. Writers, all right, let's put it this way. Some writers can benefit from learning the power of concision in some cases. But that does not mean everything must always, therefore, be concise. Flexibility. Good stuff. Other questions, comments, issues, concerns? Else I will hit the triple air horns, wrap us up, and get us out the door. This, by the way, will go up on YouTube tomorrow. Probably while I'm having breakfast. Because for whatever reason, it takes forever and a day sometimes. Other times it takes minutes, but the last 2 times it's been like 4.5 hours. For whatever reason. Oh well. So. Yeah. You'll see me. Yeah. No. Wednesday. Wednesday night you'll see me. Unless you just booked an appointment with me for tomorrow night. Wednesday night I will be here for the chat. So you guys are very welcome. Thanks for checking this out. I will see you Wednesday, the 29th. Yes. Wednesday, the 29th at 7 p.m. Eastern. I will be right back here for the weekly Writers Chat. Until then, you can check me out on Twitter, twitter.com/awesome_John. That's AWESOME _ that's shift in the dash key. JOHN, awesome_John. You can check out the Patreon if you want to support this and all the other projects I'm doing. All of them. You can check out patreon.com/John helps you create. It is just awesome. Also, the Patreon gives you access to the Discord. So, yeah, you can check out the Discord where you can get a ton of free help. You can get editing. You can get feedback. You can listen to me complain about wrestling. You can listen to me enjoy wrestling. You can ask me about root beers. You can listen to me figure out the questions for streams and a million other things. All that good stuff. So, my friends, thanks for being here. I love you. Take care of yourself. Have some water. Take your meds. Get some rest. Make sure you take your pants off. Have a good time. It's okay to love yourself. It's okay to love somebody else. It's okay to be happy. I believe in you. I care about you. I want you to feed your art. And I will talk to you very, very soon. See ya!